You can sit and do this if you want to, or just take a stir stick and you can stir it too if you want. That's a good consistency. We certainly don't want it any thinner than that, I don't think. What I've done, the nice thing about this screen is when the screen company fastened the screen itself to the frame, they did it in such a way that the text itself is centered on the screen. They've also done it in such a way, all I had to do was just take this is just a 3/4 inch piece of oak. You can use anything you want, but I've used this as a cleat and I fastened it on the side and done it in such a way that when I set it on the head, the text ends up centered on the head itself. That cleat also allows me to not have to clamp. The cleat also lets me not have to clamp this thing. When I go to squeegee this thing, I'm just going to make sure it's shoved up against the side. I'm going to take my squeegee, I'm going to pull it across. That's all I have to do. And I'm going to take it off and it's all going to be done. I'll show you what we're doing here in a minute, but we need some spacers so that when we set this screen on the head, it doesn't touch the head. And all I'm using are nickels. And what those nickels do, once I get ink on this thing and I go to do my squeegeeing, I can set this on the head. Now if I didn't have those nickels, the text would be touching the head and we'd have a mess. So what the nickels do is it keeps the screen itself off the head. So you notice there's, I don't know what a nickel is, a little better than a 1/16 of an inch. This thing is not touching the head and it won't until I take the squeegee and shove down to do the actual screening. That's why we have nickels. I will mention what I discovered the first time I used this stuff. This ink dries relatively quickly. So you want to have everything ready to clean the screen before you start. And all we're going to use is paint thinner and paper towels and a rubber glove that's going on my hand, otherwise my hand is going to turn yellow and I'll never get the yellow off. We're about ready. I'm going to blow this head off. Just to make darn sure we don't have anything on the screen. And to make extra sure we don't have anything on this head, I'm going to take a tack rag. And there's a disclaimer to this, I did not paint this head. This is a friend of Matt's that did this outside in the rain. That's kind of why it looks like it does, but I didn't say that. Now, what I'm going to do, we're going to apply the ink. And it's kind of a catch-22. You want to put enough ink on so that it covers the entire screen. But the more you put on, the more you have to clean off, which gets kind of ugly. So I'm going to show you how much I put on. And I just like using a good old plastic spoon. And all you do is just spread it across. And if you've ever watched YouTube videos when they do this numerous times, like screening shirts or something, they'll put tons of ink on But that's because they're doing it numerous times. We're just doing this once. And that's about all we need. Next thing we have to do, we have to flood the screen. So what I'm gonna take the squeegee and I'm gonna very lightly just run it across this thing so that the ink is covering every single bit of that text. That's the other nice thing about this cleat. It keeps everything away from the surface that I have it sitting on and allows me to do that without it touching. So all I'm going to do, I'm not pushing, I'm just going to lightly run this across. And you can see that the entire thing is covered with ink. That's what we want. All I'm going to do is set that on the head. I line it up so the top of the frame is just underneath the vent holes. Now when I do the next step, you want to do it with conviction. You want to press hard and you want to do it in one swipe. Don't stop in the middle, don't jerk, don't do any of that. Otherwise, trust me, it'll screw it up. And that's all there's to it. Now we're at a point where don't go take a phone call right now and be gone for 10 minutes, because when you come back, this ink is going to be relatively dry. So I'm going to take my nice flimsy putty knife and I'm going to try and get rid of as much of this as I can. I don't want to have to clean it up with the paint thinner. Yeah, now comes the fun part. You know, and I normally have industrial type towels, but I just happen to run out of the dang thing, so I'm just using plain Jane paper towels. I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to fold them in fourths. I'm going to take the paint thinner and I'm going to slop it on. You want lots of it. All we're going to do is wipe it down. Then we'll take a dry one and we'll get rid of as much of this as we can. You know, this stuff up here on the extremities, I never worry about cleaning that stuff off. We don't care about that. We just want to make sure we get it all off the text. And you just keep going until you don't see yellow on your paper towels anymore. Yeah, so when you do the back side, you'll notice you have quite a bit on the back side also. Make sure you have plenty of paper towels on hand. You're going to go through a lot of it. still seeing yellow. And needless to say, if you don't clean this up well enough, you're going to leave ink in the little letters and stuff. And depending on how much is there, it's not going to come through the next time. It'll block the screen. All right, that's that. Then, just for the heck of it, we're going to take the air hose and we're going to blow it out. There, nice and clean, ready for the next time. Again, we don't care about this yellow stuff out there. You'll get lots of that after you've used it a dozen times. All you care about cleaning is wherever the text is and make dang sure you get everything off. And I don't know how long will these things last forever, Matt?
Yeah.
Is that what they tell you?
They're clean, they'll last forever, they said. I mean, they're meant to do thousands of prints, so.
I suppose.
Unless you're doing 20,000 pinball machines.
Well, I've got another one that I've been using, and I've done, gosh, at least 20 or 25 heads with that one. And it looks identical to this one, looks just as nice and new. Yeah, and you get a good shot of the head, James. All of this stuff here, the little spots and so forth, that's just because this head wasn't sanded smooth enough. If this head had been sanded really nice, I mean nice and smooth, this yellow would have been an even consistency all the way across the whole head. Do not paint your pinball head out in the rain. But if done correctly, if you put the cleat in the right place and measure everything before you attach the cleat and so forth, by the time it's all done, when you stick that on there and go to do your screening, that screen will end up perfectly centered on the head.